Hello there, my name is John Vigna and I want to welcome you to my dad's kitchen. You know, when I loved cooking ever since I was a little kid, when my dad taught me how everything he knows. I'd get home from school and we'd watch Julia Child, we'd watch The Galloping Gourmet, and it really instilled a love of cooking. And even today, when I want to show people how much I care about them, I walk into my kitchen, I pull out my pans, and I start making them something that I know they will love. So today, you know, we're coming up on the holiday seasons. We've got Thanksgiving, we've got Christmas, we've got Hanukkah, we've got all these wonderful holidays coming together where people get together and we want to have some food ready. Sometimes it's not that easy. So today we're going to be making a couple of things that are easy to freeze, that you can have in your freezer ready to go if guests drop by, even if it's just for the Sunday night game. We're going to be making stuffed mushrooms with Italian sausage, one of my favorites. And then one of the all-time classics of Italian-American cuisine, chicken marsala. And we're going to finish it off with a coffee granita, a take on an old Italian dessert. First up, we are making stuffed mushrooms. Now this is a classic entertaining dish. Any Italian family in America has their own recipe. This is my grandmother's recipe, and I cannot tell you how many times we have served these just when people drop by unexpectedly, or in this case, we have them pre-frozen, ready to go for the Sunday night game if you're a football fan, or Thanksgiving if you've got people coming in from out of town, Christmas, any of these days. This is the perfect recipe to make ahead, freeze, and just have it ready to go for entertaining. So it starts with some Italian sausage. Now you can use whatever you want, but of course, we're an Italian family. We eat Italian sausage, and I try to buy mine with the casings on and just remove them. But you can buy it in bulk if you want. So we'll go ahead and add this to the skillet and get it all nice and start browning up. And I use a pound of Italian sausage. This is the mild. Sometimes your guests aren't so okay with the heat, but I like it hot, so I add a little cayenne pepper in the end to the skillet. Get them going nice and hot there. Get this all nice and browning. Kind of break it up a little bit. Make it easier for all the fat to render out. That's going to be where a lot of the flavoring is coming from, especially in a dish like this, because the mushrooms themselves, we're using button mushrooms, and again, you can use any kind of mushroom you want. You can use cremini, you can use baby bella. I like the good old button mushroom, good old-fashioned all-American button mushrooms. They're a mild flavor, they hold their shape pretty well under the heat of the oven, and they are just delicious, perfect receptacles for your sausage, or your stuffing. Now, as you can see, we've got the button mushrooms all pre-sliced, but it's real easy. Just go ahead and stem them. Just take a little knife, cut them all out, and when the sausage is all nice and browned up, we will go ahead and get them mixed. So we're getting some nice browning on our sausage here. We're going to go ahead and add some onions, a little extra. I love the smell. It's one of my favorite smells of all time, of onions cooking in pork fat. And don't listen to all these other knuckleheads out there. Fat is our friend, especially when cooking something like this. It's where all the flavor is, and it really just makes the whole meal come together perfectly. So, but of course, all things in moderation. So we're gonna get these onions sauteing a little bit. We're gonna sweat them, as they would say in the industry, but get the onion juices out there, add to the flavoring. Okay, so we're getting this all. Onions are browning nicely. We're adding to the soup. So we'll go ahead and take this off the heat, add it to, put it all in the bowl here. Next, we want to add some parsley. There is no Italian meal complete without a little good chopped parsley. Then add, of course, some mozzarella cheese. This is gonna bind our sausage and our onions, all the ingredients together. Go ahead and put some mozzarella in. Perfect for everything, pizza, but particularly lasagna, and of course stuffed mushrooms. We mix all this together, get it all nice and mixed up. Add a little bit of Parmesan as well. You notice we're not putting in a lot of salt. That's because the salt comes from the Parmesan, from the mozzarella, everything. So we're gonna have this all nice and perfectly seasoned already, just the way it is. And once things are kind of coming together nicely, we'll go ahead and begin stuffing. You want to, with mushrooms, some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. Use what you have. Don't worry so much about making sure everything's perfect, because this is for entertaining. This is for family and friends. They're going to enjoy these, and trust me, they're not going to last long enough for anyone to worry about the size differences here. Get these nice and stuffed. And go ahead and get that on. And then go ahead and sprinkle on some breadcrumbs on the top. Get this all nice and coated. And then a little bit more Parmesan on the top of each one. And get them ready for the baking sheet, the oven. Go ahead and start putting them on here. So we've got our mushrooms nice and stuffed. We're gonna put them into the oven for 20-30 minutes at 425 degrees. But again, depends on the size of your mushrooms. You just wanna make sure they're done and cooked all the way through. And my favorite meals of all time, one of the classics of Italian American comfort food, and again, something that you can make ahead, freeze, and just have ready in the freezer for when guests go by, chicken marsala. Now, marsala is a nice, good fortified wine. It's delicious, and it's full-bodied. It goes great with the chicken, great with the mushrooms and the onions. So what we're gonna start out with is our chicken breasts. Now, these are a little too thick, so this is where you get some stress out. Think about your boss at work, think about the teacher who's getting a little hard on your kids, whatever, and whack it. We want these about 1/4 of an inch thick, and one more little stress-relieving bang right there. I think that one's good. Then, same process, more boss at work, more stress from the job, more hard, a little, the vet bill's a little too much. Whatever's going to get you going right now, just you work it out on the chicken. We want these to be about 1/4 inch thick to taste, but usually it's more important that they're the same thickness than the actual thickness that you choose. We want it to be consistent. So next we're gonna go ahead and salt and pepper these. I don't know about you, but my chicken doesn't come pre-seasoned. And so we'll do both sides, salt and pepper. And then we'll go ahead and dredge them in the flour. Now the flour is optional, you don't have to, but I like it because it adds a little extra thickening for the sauce and helps to adhere the chicken a little bit better. So we'll get this nice and dredged, and we will go ahead and add some oil to our pan, get this nice and going, and then go ahead and put the chicken in the pan. We're gonna let that start sauteing. Again, same process. We're gonna dredge on this side, get the chicken nice and covered, and go ahead and add the flour. This is a dish that was made by Italian immigrants who came to America and brought their traditions with them. And that's one of the things I love about this kind of cooking is it's a celebration of where we come from, and not just Italians, but anybody who's ever got immigrants in their background. We've all got dishes like this that our parents that are taught us how to make, and that's what I love about this particular kind of meal. It's a celebration of who we are and who we're becoming, that's what makes it so special. And so we'll go ahead and, it's like first half done, we're gonna go ahead and flip the chicken, get this nice and going on the other side, take the breasts out, let them sit over here, and then go ahead and add some more olive oil, get the pan nice and sizzling again, and then we add our onions and our mushrooms. Mushrooms and onions are a classic combination in so many different kinds of cooking. Okay, so our onions and our mushrooms are sweating down nicely, getting some nice color on them. I wish you could smell with the smell. Mushrooms and onions are such a great combination. So we're just going to kick it up a little bit, add some garlic. Garlic burns very easy, so we always want to add that just before we're about to add our liquid. You just want to cook it just until you start smelling the garlic smell. And again, one of the best things you can walk into is a home where onions and mushrooms and garlic are all just roasting together in a pan. So it looks like that's going good. Now we're going to add our marsala wine. Now, you can use whichever wine you want. If you want to be blasphemous, you can go ahead and use a Madeira or another kind of fortified wine. But I like the good marsala wine. A good California marsala wine, because it's where I'm from. Use whatever you want, but the only thing we would say is if you won't drink it, don't cook with it. Use a wine that you would drink, because it will show up in your final meal, and you want to make sure your guests love it. So use a wine that you would drink just to make sure you've got the absolute best. So we're gonna let that go a little bit, add a little bit of butter, You know, butter gets a bad rap, but a good, nice, especially a European butter made the traditional way, just better than anything else, better than anything you can imagine. Just taste, adds that nice richness to it, makes it just perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and let this go for a few minutes just to get all these flavors melding together. You know, that's partly why we use the flour on the chicken, because you've got all these little bits on the bottom here. We're scraping that up. That's adding so much flavor to our sauce. And once this is getting nice and thick in here, we'll go ahead and add our chicken back, along with any juices at the bottom. That's where so much flavor comes from. So please never throw out the juices. Always add them back into there, like we're doing right now. And then we're gonna go ahead and let this simmer for a few minutes. Get this sauce nice and delicious. Get it nice and thickening up a little bit, okay? And then we'll go ahead and finish it off with a little dollop of heavy cream. And again, fat gets a bad reputation, but this is where the flavor comes from. This is where the richness comes from. This is where our meal is made. So you see we've got this beautiful, absolutely beautiful sauce right now. Spooning it over, finishing the chicken. When you bring this out on a serving tray, your guests are going to have their jaws drop and their mouths are going to be watering, and people are going to be coming back every year saying, oh my God, Helen, where did you get that recipe? Well, you got it from your grandma just like I got it from mine. Now, I don't know about you, my favorite part of every meal is dessert time. And this we're gonna make a very simple, very classic, and again, you can make it ahead and freeze it, dessert for our guests, and it's called coffee granita. Now, a granita is sort of like a sorbet that's just made by hand instead of in a machine. And it's traditionally made with fruit juice, but you can use it with you can make it with any liquid you want. So I'm choosing coffee because, I don't know about you, but after a long day of entertaining, I need a little extra pick-me-up. So we've got coffee brewed of your choice. You want medium roast, dark roast, however you want. It's up to you entirely. But we do need to add a little extra sugar. I add a lot. I prefer cane sugar because I like that little extra sweetness from the molasses that they leave in. But I want to go ahead and that. And then if you so desire, I like to add a little extra shot of coffee liqueur. It just adds a little extra something, and not enough to get anyone, you know, a little tipsy, but certainly it's the perfect way to end a meal. So we get this all nice and mixed up, get it all incorporated together, and then we spread it out in a thin baking sheet. You want it as thin as possible, because what we're going to do, is stick it in the freezer, and as it's freezing, we're just going to run our fork like this, up and down, 3, 4, 5, 6 times while it's freezing, to create tiny little ice crystals, tiny little flakes. And when it's done, you'll have something that melts in your mouth, but it's almost like a snow cone, but without being all densely packed and without that fake caramel stuff or the fake sugar stuff that they put at the carnival. But your guests will be amazed, and they'll think you spent forever making it, when really it's as simple as brewing a pot of coffee, mixing some sugar in, and then putting it in the freezer. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in the freezer. And here is our finished granita. Now again, just making a quick pot of coffee, throwing some sugar in, and freezing now, which, as we said, we scrape it back like this. You get all these wonderful little ice crystals, and it's like drinking a nice slushy. So we'll go ahead and spoon this up, add just a little bit. You know, Italian desserts tend to be a lot lighter, a lot thinner than, you know, something that you might get in like France or England. You can serve this, you've got this nice delicious sweet coffee dessert. I like to add just a little dollop of cream, just a little bit, not a lot, just to bring out a little extra richness, and you are ready to go. Your guests will love it, and when it's time to do all those dishes, you've had that little extra pick-me-up. So this is the perfect end to a wonderful meal, and as with everything else we've made today, you can make this ahead, you can freeze it and have it ready to go in your freezer in case guests drop by for the Sunday night game or for Christmas or whatever, just a random Tuesday. So thank you. This has been a wonderful time spending with you. We made a wonderful make-ahead meal. All of this can be made ahead and frozen for entertainment, because, you know, we are in the holiday seasons now. And we have our stuffed mushrooms made with Italian sausage, fresh parsley, mozzarella. Just the perfect way to start any meal. Your guests are going to love it. And then one of my favorite recipes of all time, chicken marsala. You have this wonderful fortified wine with mushrooms and onions. You're gonna bite into it, and your guests, their jaws are just gonna hit the table. They're gonna be so awed by it. They're gonna keep coming back for more. And then to finish off this wonderful meal, we have coffee granita. It's light, It's refreshing. It's the perfect way to sit around the table and share memories and warmth and love. And that's what these meals are made of, with warmth and love. You know, my dad taught me how to cook all of these. I hope you and your family enjoy them just as much as my family has. I want to thank you for joining me today in my dad's kitchen. I'm John Vigna. I made this with love, and I hope you do too.